All right, so here's my changeling. Hope this video helps you. Some things to note I think I came out well that I'm proud of is his knees and the shading that come in there. Also, I feel like the gold did okay, and the purple. Things I'm not so proud of, the feathers, not great. While the blending works, the color, I definitely could have picked a better palette for that. And the skin came out all right. But you know, you live, you learn, you'll do a little bit better every time, right? So here's a nice little close-up for you. Hopefully it works out and you enjoy it. Let's jump right into it. Oh yeah, I like the gym too. I think the gym came out really nice. In case you can't see it, it's right. All right, so let's start painting the changeling. I think I'm gonna start with his armor. So I'm doing like 2 turquoise and mix them together. So I got a little bit of work. I can go to shade or lighten as needed. And I'm just gonna start base coating all of his armor. I got a little too much water on that. And just kind of avoid, try not, I mean, you have to be super precise right now. I just don't want the areas to get too much on there, right? And just, it's always better to go with a light coat than a dark coat. And I did base coat it black because I'm trying to paint it like I would for mass painting, not necessarily competition. And that means I might miss a couple spots. So having the black there, this helps, you know, hide any spots I might have missed. And there you go, we got all the parts painted up with the armor. So now you can get a black wash if you don't have ink. I'm gonna use black ink. And I'm gonna go ahead and trace out along all the lines the best I can with my smallest brush. Because we're going to have to go back over and kind of clean it up. And it's just, if you don't want to do it now, you can do it later. I just think it's easier in the base coating phase to get this kind of black line. And along like here in this little recess. And then if you look at it, especially like the picture, he has like a little bit here. You can always just kind of get the wash in and you can see it if you can't really see it. And we're gonna have to tidy all that up later. So just go along, like kind of edge along all his armor. And it's gonna make more sense once we get the gold on. And there you go, now he looks a little wonky because you're gonna have these little bots if you're doing it like me. So you're gonna come back over, and for example, this knee, you're just gonna have to kind of come in there a little bit with a nice fine brush and tidy it up a little bit. Looks like that's still a little bit wet, so make sure you give it time to dry and just tidy up where you need to. All right, so I got a little zoom in here for you. Hopefully it looks a little better. So you can kind of see where we're subtly adding up, like right here on the knee. And now, because I noticed it was coming out great, we're gonna like start working that shade down. And it's gonna look a lot better once we have the gold to contrast it. I think anyway. Doesn't really mess up that gold. It happens, brother, it happens. But remember, you're seeing this like 2 inches from your face, and in real life, it's gonna look a little more like this, right? So anyways, let's get cracking. So we're gonna be doing 2 different things. So one, I got my original color over here on the left, and I got another one here on the right. We're gonna do 2 shades. The first shade, second shade, I'm gonna mix ink with my color until I get kind of a watery post. And we'll keep adding in that darker turquoise, or blue, whatever you're going for. There we go. Maybe a little more turquoise. So I get this. There we go. But we're gonna water it down just like we do with the other regular turquoise, so that we're gonna do 2 layers. The first one is gonna be the regular turquoise. And for areas like the chest, up on top, I make sure it's nice and thin. I got my little layer, and I'm just gonna kind of glaze it up in there. And just like before, I'm gonna grab a little bit of water and we're gonna work it down a little bit. So let's try that again. I always like to check to make sure it looks good, it's not too runny. We'll do this knee. I'll work it down. Grab a little bit of water. All right, dry it off. Get all the rest of the paint off, get that water, just kind of work it out. And if I think there's too much water, I'll just soak it off. And once I'm done with that, I'll do the same thing with my ink mixture, making sure it's kind of the consistency I want. And I'll work it down. This is a little bit darker area. And once again, kind of work its way up a little bit. But I'll do the regular teal first. In areas like this top part of the chest armor, I don't know if I'll do the ink because it's already going to be hitting by sunlight. And like down here, where he's going to be obscuring a lot of it, it's going to be more that dark ink version. So let's go ahead and get that all taken care of. So there you go. You should start seeing the shading in. I'm going to drop them and break them, and then these weapon bronze. Get all the gold features, and that's kind of the inlay of the armor. And take your time. This might be the longest part because you don't want to have to redo anything you just did. And if you do, get some clean water, quickly go over it and then drain it up. And if you're quick enough, you should be all right. Don't forget the little staff up here too. That's going to be a goal. Just take your time. This will be the longest part. There you go. I had to go back and fix some points and tidy up some of my lines. That's always a good time to do that. So what I've done is I've taken some brown ink. And if you don't have brown ink, you could always experiment with some flesh wash. I use the Ink Nut Chest from Scale 75. And what I'm going to do is I got it kind of like right here where it's a little bit darker. And it's going to take some shades. And anywhere that's kind of dark, so like for example here, like it's going to kind of come down here, so it's like I'm going to glaze it down to make this go. And if, like I say, if you only have a wash, you do the same thing with the flesh wash. You just might have to do a couple layers. Just experiment. You can always do somewhere back here that nobody's going to see, right? So. And I just hold the model up to the light and say, oh, okay, where is it going to be kind of dark? So like there, this is going to be bright because it's kind of catching the light, but right here in the middle, it's kind of obscured. And I just kind of work my way around, ask myself, where is it obscured? And I'm like, well, this side of his right, or I guess his left, our right side is going to be a little darker inside. And I just kind of work my way. It's going to take you a little bit of time, but that's okay. Alright, so now I'm grabbing some greedy gold, which is just the next shade of gold up. I got one more. And water down just a hair. So this is where our dark, and this is where my normal color is. I'm gonna just kind of move up. So it starts to shine a little bit. Alright, going through, asking myself, where is the light starting to make it shine a little bit? I'm gonna work my way around. Add a little areas. Hopefully you can see where I've kind of darkened it a little bit. Like here I darkened, it's about neutral, so I want to start coming in here. And the light's going to start picking it up. Hopefully it comes out all right. Maybe I need to work on my background so you can see the paint a little better. Like here, the light's starting to pick it up like right on top, it looks like, with my eye. I'm going to start giving all this, and it transitions. It's probably a little darker in there, and it's going to pick up. And there you go. I went ahead and used my bright gold. It's just the shiniest gold I have to kind of hit a couple areas, like the little tips there. But now I'm going to combine my brightest silver and my brightest gold. Whatever you got should work. All right, and just get a nice little brush. And come along all these little sharp edges. Trying to use the side of your brush as much as possible. Give yourself a little bit of highlighting. or edge highlighting, I guess. And good luck to you. It's a little tricky when you hit something like that. There you go, you guys looking pretty good. I'm taking the eye. I don't know if I'm going to show it. I'm just doing red and orange. You can do yellow by the box art, but you're going to have to put like a gray down and then like a yellow is orange and work your way up. And this is more work than I think is necessary. But anyways, so I have grabbed purple that I've misplaced. Alien purple, which is just the darkest purple I got. And I'm going to go through all of these scales, right? So the scales here, and we're going to be using that purple again for the skin. We're going to get these right here. Don't forget, like inside the armor, that's going to be a nice little purple behind the knees. Just take your time, you know, turn on some Depeche Mode or whatever you kids listen to. I've been on a Fred Durst Limp Bizkit mix lately. And just slowly get it, and you'll look all right, man. You'll look all right. I mean, we're all in this together. I'm just pulling for you. And there you go, we got all the base coated. I forgot to mention, his tail is also, or his feathered tail is, I'm gonna get purple. So I got the black ink. You can use a wash if you don't have the ink. And we're gonna come in here and like, see this little scale? See how it's like a diamond? We're gonna get the top part of that diamond. It's like the inverse V. Hopefully it shows up. It might be a little hard. And we're gonna just kind of get it in there. It's okay if you go a little bit over, you know, and it's gonna drip down. But we can tidy that up a little bit when we come in. If you're super lazy, you can just grab all of it and say YOLO, I guess. You only live once, is ink it all, and then clean it up. But I'm gonna try to do that, because we're going to try to make the scales a little nicer. All right, there you go. I took some of that dark purple and mixed it in. So what I did next is I had a light purple, Toxic Boils. And I mixed it about 50-50. Add a little bit of water so it flows nice. And keeping in, I'm just grab the cat milk. Keeping like the black, so you have like the define. I'm gonna just come in here and kind of define these out a little bit. That way, each of these little scales kind of maintains its shape. We're gonna do a little edge highlighting. But now, hopefully, my light, something I'm still struggling with, comes out all right. You can kind of see where we're keeping those black edges around, so you can kind of get those little scales coming in. And like I said, if you can't get these ones back here, don't worry about it. You know, your model's gonna be like this, and no one's ever gonna know. He's just gonna die from a cannon shot anyways. And there you can see it's kind of coming out. So what we're gonna do is grab that lighter color you had, and we're gonna come down here and we're just gonna try to edge highlight as best you can. Just take your time. Just keep listening to your preferred nu metal band. You'll get there. There you go. For the last bit, I mixed some white in. The old matte white will do. And I'm gonna come down to like sort of the end of this one, just kind of like the bottom half. You get a little bit of a tip. Let's grab this one. Let's try. Hopefully you got a little more steady. It's not as thick as mine. All right, so you get all these little tips. Make it pop a little bit. And once that's done, we can move on to the feathers, or kind of want to do the sword. Maybe I'll just skip to the sword. And there we go. I'm gonna work on the feathers later because I want to think about how I want to do it. So for the sword, I got 3 colors. I got an orangish red, and a dark red. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna base coat it here with the orange, and then come up with the red to maybe here, and then the darkest red there. And we're gonna work our way down. It's better, in my opinion, to go a little bit wider than you think you need with the lighter colors, because you're gonna be glazing it up. So this area is gonna get darker. So just go a little bit longer than you think you need. This is way too much paint. Just glob it on here. So I'll clean that up. So get your 3 layers. You can always wait to the end and kind of see what you want. And we're gonna glaze it up so you have a glowing sword. And there you go, I have a sword. And I will have to say, I think I've maybe made a mistake, made it a little too bright. But just like when you take someone home from the bar and the next morning they're just not as attractive as you remember, you just gotta commit to that mistake and take it out to breakfast, you know? So what I've done is got the red, so the middle part. And if you're doing this at home, maybe try a darker one. So see how it's kind of nice and light here on my thumb? I might go just a little hair more. And yeah, it's looking a little bit better. I'm gonna dry it off with the paper towel I have off screen. There we go, that's perfect. So I want this part down here to be that orange. I'm gonna glaze it all up and glaze it all up. And I just like to do a little check, make sure it's all there. Glaze it all up. Glaze it all up. Now my room is pretty hot. It's just the way it is. I got a heater on and a little dry, so it's gonna be pretty quick. So about 30 seconds for me. Your time may vary. Just put on a podcast or a book on tape and just continue. So this one I did about there. So I'm gonna move this one a little bit closer. And eventually, we're gonna see that kind of come into action. You know what, it takes a little bit of time. If you're having some trouble, get a base or something, just kind of work your way. It probably takes me around 15 or so glazes, but I have a very light glaze, and it's also consistent on what paint brand you use. Just make sure you go all the way into that red area. You don't want to stop. You want to go all the way into the red. And there you go. With some practice, you're going to have a nice smooth transition. Now we're going to do the same thing with the dark. Just making sure you got it. And then, you know, you came here, it's about halfway. You just want to maybe 2/3 of the way up the reddish part. You can kind of work it. And just keep going. Remember, you start here, you're gonna do one little step over. And you can always go back. If you decide that wasn't far enough, you can always do one pass that's a little bit farther. Once again, it's gonna take you some time. Just be patient. I put a little black ink in there and try to make it a little darker at the end, or you can also use black. And then I try to get a little bit of lining with some orange, but I don't know, I have mixed feelings, so I don't know if I want to share it. But anyways, to get to the feathers, I had a little black ink there. And I'm just mixing it as I go between my light purple and my dark I used here. And what's gonna happen, and I'll try to pick a big feather, is I'm gonna come along here and I'm gonna give it a little slash. Choop, choop. Yep, that's too big. That's okay, we'll fix it. And just try to lightly skim little lines. And I need to get a little more water on there to make it flow. Just a little better. It's gonna take some practice. And then make sure you get one along the line. So these feathers, right along the middle, there's the kind of support for it. So you want to grab that as well. And there you go, we got it nice kind of dark. And I'm going to grab just the purple now. I'm being very careful. I'm going to come in and try to get a couple like little raised regions here. Not as many as before. Just kind of break things up. Right? Hopefully this looks all right. So now I've gathered purple and tan flesh And hopefully this works out. I want to give him like a purplish tint to his flesh for the changeling. And I guess even for this guy too. Maybe I'll get his neck in there. So just be careful and hopefully it turns out all right. Yeah, you might want to wait till the finish before following. And there we go, we got them all nice and purpley. So I grabbed some a lighter flesh color. This is barbarian flesh. And I've mixed it in. Hopefully you can kind of see it. And I'm gonna just grab a little bit, place it to the side, get a little bit of water, and just dab it off. So I don't want like super thin glaze. I just want it to be able to have like a heavy glaze. There we go. And I'm gonna just kind of work, leaving these recesses empty. So like this bicep, we're gonna kind of start here where it's low and work our way up, and we're kind of glazing it on. So it's like a thin-ish layer. We are gonna do some shadowing, but we're gonna save that till a little bit later. So let's just go ahead and work on these pieces. You're gonna continue working it, so the next time you're gonna add a little bit more of that flesh color, make it a little bit lighter. And instead of right there, you're gonna start up there, you're gonna kind of work it up a little bit. So I'll join you maybe 2 layers in. And there we go, he's looking, all right, he's looking right about there. So what I've done is once the lighter part becomes kind of dominant, so for me it took about 3. I'm gonna come in and like only the areas raised, everything on the arm, I'm not gonna touch anymore. I'm just gonna touch like right here on his little chest. The light's gonna hit all this. So I'll grab that. His fingers, right, they're out exposed. And the top of his hand, his chin, right, and the jawline. So you just kind of have to ask yourself, like, where is that light coming? So like right here, his face is kind of obscuring part of that chest, so I'm not gonna get that top. I'm just gonna work my way through right there. I'm just gonna work around the mini until I get the lightness that I want, and then with the last layer, I'm gonna get all the little doodads. I don't know what they're called, like his scales. And there you go, that's what it looks like. I'm gonna get the shades. What I've done is taken my mixture, I got a little bit of black ink on my brush, and I just kind of mix it in with a tiny little bit I have on my children's thing. But that was it's just a little bit dark, right? It's just a little dark purple. And now I can kind of come in like underneath here where I want it to be a little darker and get a little shade in there. Maybe get a little bit of water so it kind of glazes. There we go. Anywhere I think there should be a little bit more shadow, like right here where the arms tissue is. Kind of come underneath there. And just work our way around. Shouldn't have too many spots, you know, maybe under the chin here. Anyway, you just really feel like it's shaded. And after that, you're gonna base coat his horn. And I'm gonna go for a nice dark brown. Probably something like this oak brown, and get that horn done. All right, and here we go. We're gonna start working on the horn now. I got like the light bone color. I'm also gonna use the same color for like these birds, but I'm gonna do my glazing first. So I got it nice and thinned out. And I'm gonna start about here and just work my way up. And I am going to get it some brown ink when I'm done and get those. So just kind of work your way up. Just like before, just give it time to dry. It'll be okay. And then when you're done, get a little bit and just give a little edge highlight. And just take your side of your brush and just kind of work it. We'll worry about that at the end though. There you go, that's what I got. I did take one last round of the brown, do the same thing, glazed down. But now I got some chestnut ink. It's kind of optional, and I'm just gonna lays it in like this. So it's transparent. I just wanted to have a little bit of love, you know, a little dark. You can always try to thin it out and roll it all the way down, but I think I'm okay. What else I have to do? Oh yeah, I got the skulls, the gems, so many small details. I guess we'll just start with these skulls. So go ahead and get them finished up base coating, which I forgot to do, and let's get to it. So now I grab some mummy robes. This is just kind of my off robes. And I'm just going to be taking a little bit at a time, mixing it in until I get kind of the color I want. If I was doing an army of Skelly Boys or something, I would have a defined mixture. But I don't. I just want like a bleach bone bird look. And I'll just keep doing that and keep layering it up. Alright, just like we do the skin. So we're gonna leave like the nostrils alone and things. So just back and forth. And then get some blues ready because we're gonna do the gem right after. And here's our guy. Oh man, I just knocked over the wet paint. There we go. So now we're going to do the base coat, the feathers, and the staff. So the staff, I grabbed the darkish gray I have, which is necromantic gray. And I'm going to get the whole staff and work it down. And for the feathers, because I'm still not sure what I'm going to do, I got the abomination gore. Maybe I'll do like a red. I don't know. I think I'm going to go back and relearn feathers. I don't really like the way I do them, and perhaps there's a better way. Anyways, let's get those base coated. So there's my completed model. I feel disappointed. I don't have a good answer for how to paint this, and I forgot to record for the little gem. But maybe one day I'll get better. Hope it helps you, man. Hope it helps you. So here he is, my changeling. I think he came out not too bad overall. Things I'm proud of.